Friends, my name is Juli Dunn. I'm the Senior Associate Dean of Students at Whitman College and the Assistant Vice President of Student Life. I am super excited to be joining you today and super excited that you will be joining us in the fall as our incoming class for the class of 2028 and new transfer students. I have all my contact information up on the screen, so please take a screenshot of it. Please feel free to call me or reach out. I will be your essentially transition guide all summer long. You'll be hearing from me every Monday via email, and every Thursday you'll have an opportunity to interact with me live as I share with you some of my colleagues on campus and some of the programs and events that they are responsible for. So I'm coming to you today because I'm really responsible for helping you get your bearings relative to Whitman's academic landscape and grounding, and really desire to share with you a little bit about our academics and our curricular structure so that when you get ready to do your advising and registration this summer, you'll have all of the kind of early knowledge that you need to make some good choices. I would be remiss if I didn't talk first of all about the lands that I'm currently on. I'd like to acknowledge that the land each of us live on, learn on, and thrive on are the traditional, ancestral, and unceded homelands of Indigenous and tribal nations. Here at Whitman College, where I'm zooming out from today, Whitman College is on the original homelands of the Umatilla, Cayuse, Walla Walla, and tribal nations. And today I pay my respect to tribal elders, both past and present, and extend my respect to all Indigenous people today. I acknowledge the genocide and systems of oppression that have dispossessed Indigenous peoples of their land, and I honor and respect the diverse and beautiful peoples that are connected to this land. I honor their stewardship of the land and ecosystem and commit to continuing that important work. This acknowledgement in no way expunges me or us from our collective responsibility to dismantle the settler colonialism state. Instead, it is intended to maintain an awareness and establish our continued commitment to actively engaging in meaningful education, dialogue, and action that serves the interests of Indigenous peoples everywhere. I vow to continue to expose myself and encourage others, such as you all, to expose yourselves to Native and Indigenous perspectives and to decolonize our education and practices, and to follow through with our documented agreement to ensure reciprocal collaboration between the sovereign nations and our respected institutions. At Whitman, we have a standing memorandum of understanding with the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation, which this picture is actually part of those lands. I am committed to helping our new students really understand what that means and make progress in that regard. I also come from the Division of Student Affairs, Student Life, and want to share some of our mission or vision for our work with students. So we engage in a pedagogy of student growth and community building through committing to values of integrity, social justice, collaboration, and love. And we believe in holistically supporting and empowering all students. We see ourselves as educators, so that's why I'm coming to you as part of the team that's doing the academic 101 for students that are coming into Whitman, and really believe are to be educators both inside the classroom and outside the classroom. So wanted to share that with you. Let me talk just a little bit about what my plan is today. This session really is to give you kind of a grounding and a framework to understand the curriculum at Whitman and to understand what you're entering into and how to think about your own education at Whitman. I'm going to talk about the basics, give you kind of quite a few numbers and categories as you're thinking about what kinds of courses you might be interested in exploring in your first semester and beyond. I'm going to give you a roadmap. How do you go from being where you are now, which for some of you is just a newly graduated high school student or a student who's finishing up time at a community college or another institution before making your way towards us as a new transfer student. So I'm going to talk about the roadmap that is Whitman. And then I'm going to prep you for what's to come this summer and really get you hopefully excited about this exciting transition ahead of you. So I'm going to just start with the basics, hopefully giving you a little bit of So again, a structure to hang on to as you think about your own academic trajectory at Whitman. So let's just start with the sheer numbers. So by the time you graduate from Whitman, you will need to have accumulated 124 credits. For those of you that are coming from high school, most of these credits are going to be done at Whitman. For those of you that are new transfer students, you will bring in some credits likely from your previous institution, and then the majority of your credits you will get here at Whitman. Most students will do that in approximately 8 semesters. I want to put a big giant asterisk on that because I think COVID has really taught us quite a few things, and there's not a unified way to go through your college education. So for some students, it's absolutely going to be 8 semesters. For others, they might get that done on a more quick path, maybe 6 semesters or 7 semesters. Others might do a couple semesters, take some time off, and return. And then still others might take longer than 8 semesters. But in general, most students at Whitman complete their degree in 8 semesters. If you do a little math, my friends in the quantitative sciences will appreciate this, but if you do a little math and you take 124 credits and you divide it by 8, for you to be on track to graduate in 8 semesters or however many semesters you want to graduate in, you would be averaging about 15 and a half credits per semester. Most of the courses at Whitman that we'll be talking about, the academic load courses, are going to be either 3 or 4 credit classes. So for most students, we want you to actually be on the upper side of that. We want you to be on the 16 side to make sure that you're on track to graduate. Whitman doesn't have any courses that are half credits. So we're kind of threading the needle here, but we want to be on the upper end of that, 16, 17 credits, give ourselves a nice little buffer. There are 9 distribution areas or 9 areas for our general education. I'm going to go through each of those kind of individually, but we have 9 areas that students are going to be required to get credits in a connected way. Finally, you have more than 50 majors that you can possibly choose from. We're going to ask you to choose at least one, but some students might also double major in things. But you have a very broad catalog of majors that you could choose to major in. And then finally, most of those majors will be about 36 credits. So depending on whether the courses in that department are 3 credits or 4 credits, for most majors, that's going to be someplace between 9 and 12 classes in a very specific discipline. So I'm going to start from the beginning about kind of the structure of the curriculum that most students are going to see in their first year at Whitman, particularly new incoming first year students. And that is our foundation. So our foundations has 2 components to it. The first part is writing proficiency, and the second part is the first year seminar sequencing. This summer, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, but this summer, you will be asked to complete a writing assessment. We ask that all students complete the writing assessment. It doesn't take very long. It's a very short assessment. We give you, I think, the whole month of July to do your assessment. And once you start it, you have 24 hours to complete it. Most students report that it takes someplace between 20 minutes to possibly as much as 2 hours. So being able to kind of, think about your time respectively for that. But all incoming students will complete the writing assessment. And based on that writing assessment, we're going to make a determination about whether or not you've already met the learning outcomes for the Rhetoric, Writing, and Public Discourse class 170, our language and writing course. For those students who have already met the learning outcomes for that course, they're going to not need to take it. And for those students that still have that would benefit from getting some additional assistance around their writing, those students will be slotted to take that either in their fall semester. The majority of folks will be taking it in their fall semester, or a handful of folks might be deferred out into the spring semester. The second part of our foundations is our first year seminar sequence. And the best way to think about that is not as a first year student, but as the first year. And so this is a course that all students who come in as first-year students or transfers as a sophomore will be in the first-year seminar sequence. Students that transfer in more than 58 credits, students that have essentially junior status, are not obligated to take the first-year seminar sequence. And it's a 2-semester sequence. In the first semester, the overarching kind of outcome for General Studies 175 is exploring complex questions. And you're going to do this in a variety of courses. We have a number of learning communities, just to name a few. There's one that's around games. There's one around thinking about time. There's one about the body. And you'll have an opportunity to preference the ones that you are most interested in. And you're in individual sections within a learning community. So for instance, the largest of the learning communities is games. I believe there are 7 individual sections within the games learning community. And again, you'll have an opportunity to preference the ones you're most interested in, and we'll get you assigned to one of those over the summer. In the second part of the sequence is making powerful arguments, and that's the course that happens in the spring semester. And these have a much more varied set of content. They are taught, across campus from all different departments. And these are more individual style seminar where you're signing up for a very specific topic. So last year, one of the topics was monsters and monstrosities. They spent time thinking about what is a monster? How do we understand monsters? How do we understand monstrosity? They read all sorts of books. So they read, let's see, trying to think of some of those. They watched King Kong. They read The Shape of Water. I believe they read Frankenstein. They watched a couple of other movies, and they were organized around a very individualized topic. And again, those are taught throughout campus. So the foundations component, the first 2 parts of our general education, are the writing proficiency and the first-year seminar sequence. The middle chunk of our general education or distribution requirements are the explorations. And there are 7 areas across explorations, and students need to get a course in every single one of them. So you can see them right here on the screen. The areas are textual analysis, the individual and society, scientific inquiry, creative production, global cultures and languages, quantitative analysis, and power and equity. And underneath, a short description about the kinds of courses that will be contributing to that area. So you can see under textual analysis, these will be courses that emphasize close textual analysis across a range of humanistic disciplines. So these will be many of our courses in English, religion, classics, philosophy, gender studies. Lots of these courses do very close reading and very close an analysis of that close reading. And so it won't be a single department that contributes to textual analysis, but many departments that have courses that will count towards textual analysis. The second area, the individual and society, these are courses that use social science methodologies to explore human behavior and social structures. So looking at past, current, future understandings of the individual within society. So these will come primarily from our departments in the social science division. So anthropology, economics, politics, history, psychology, and sociology. Students that pursue courses in that area will likely satisfy the individual and society exploration area. The third area of exploration is scientific inquiry. These are courses that will focus on methods of understanding the natural world. So courses within biology, chemistry, physics, geology, astronomy, brain behavior and cognition, biochemistry, biophysics, and molecular biology. And almost all of them will have either a field component out in the field, such as geology, or a laboratory component, such as a chemistry lab or a biology lab. The fourth area is creative production. These will be courses that focus on the production and performance of art within particular attention to materials, forms, and processes. So these will be many of our courses in our studio art, art history, music, theater, and some other areas of fine art, such as creative writing, public speaking. These will be film and media studies. These will be all areas that have courses that contribute to creative production. The fifth area is global cultures and languages. Should not surprise you that all of our languages will count towards global cultures and languages, but these will be courses that really help students prepare to be informed citizens in a very interdependent and connected world, focusing not only on languages, but also on the cultures that might be very different than our own. The sixth area is quantitative analysis, otherwise known as math. These are courses that will provide students with an opportunity to develop the skills necessary to critically analyze numeric and graphical data. So we've got textual analysis on the front end and quantitative analysis on the back end. So really being able to be a well-balanced, well-rounded student, being able to analyze both textual evidence as well as numeric or graphical data as well. And finally, the last area of exploration is power and equity. These will be courses that are related to understanding power and equity and privilege across disciplines and our place in the world. In particular, courses that look at marginalized populations or inequalities and inequities, how they are produced, how they are experienced, how they are overcome or resisted. So this is the area that is explorations. And then finally, the last area is connections. So again, there are 9 areas total. So we've got foundations, explorations, and connections. And connections is really what the liberal arts is all about. It's taking what you're learning across various disciplines and being able to make connections from philosophy to history, from philosophy to studio art, from classics to biology, and really being able to connect all of your courses together. And so there are 2 areas within connections, and these are courses that you could actually also have counting towards exploration. So you might have a course in explorations that is also a course that counts towards writing across context. So these are courses that will employ writing as a method of increasing engagement between the courses. So this might be a biology course. This might be a sociology course. It could certainly be an English course. So you're looking at engaging through the tools of writing to have a better understanding in this course. And then finally, the last area of connections is studying the past. These are courses that are going to broaden students' perspectives beyond the present by engaging in historical difference, processes of changes, and how we understand the continuity from the past to the current, present, and then ultimately into the future. So we will describe these in a couple different ways. You'll hear them referred to as general education areas. You'll hear them referred to as distributions. These are absolutely going to be things that will need to be front and center as you're thinking about your academics at Whitman. I should also note that this incoming class, the class of 2028, is the first class, the class of 2028 and our new transfer students that will be in this general education model. So we've recently taken a very close look at our general education model and have done some revisions of it. So you're our first group that will be creating foundations, exploring broadly, and then making connections across those areas. The student learning outcomes that specifically come out of these areas is the idea of developing grounding competencies in particular disciplines. So one way to think of this is by the end of your time in your first couple years, students should be able to have competencies across particular disciplines. Students should be able to analyze and evaluate information presented in multiple forms. Students should be able to articulate and explore the nature of complex relationships. You should be able to create original work in multiple forms and genres, and you should be able to communicate effectively and intentionally in multiple modalities. So this is what we are hoping that you will get out of your kind of foundation, exploration, and connections. So I want to talk a little bit about the roadmap. How do you get from where you are right now, sitting in front of a screen, listening to me, to graduation, which, by the way, just happened a couple of weeks ago as we said goodbye to the class of 2024. And we'll be thinking about how do we help you, new students, new transfer students, go from being matriculated students towards graduation. So the very first thing is you need to matriculate as a first-year student or as a new transfer student. So what does that mean? Matriculation is a big fancy word for we need to get you enrolled, and there's a whole bunch of things we're going to ask you to do. The picture you see right now on your screen is actually from our giant to-do list that's going to be in your welcome guide, should be arriving in your mailbox very, very soon. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of to-do list items that we have spread out across the entire summer. My suggestion to you is that you approach these very systematically and try not to leave them all to the last minute. But we really want you to think about what are the things that you need to get done. Many of these are listed as matriculation tasks. We actually need you to do them so that we can count you as a matriculated student at Whitman. So the very first thing we're going to ask you to do is we're going to ask you to complete your pre-major advising questionnaire. This is for new students as well as new transfer students. We really would like you to get this done as soon as possible and no later than June 15th. We are going to assign you to a pre-major advisor, whether you are coming from an institution where you are already declared as a whatever major, a chemistry major, and you're pretty sure you're going to be a chemistry major at Whitman. All students at Whitman come in as undeclared, whether you're a new first time to college student or whether you're a new transfer student. So the pre-major advising questionnaire is going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. And it's primarily designed to actually help your pre-major advisor get to know you a little bit and think about the ways in which they might help you be successful as a student at Whitman. So it's going to ask you about the kinds of courses you're interested in, the areas that you would say are areas of strength for you academically, the areas that you feel like you have some growth to do. They're going to ask you about what kind of out of classroom activities that you're interested in. Are you planning to work? Will you be involved in a musical ensemble or playing for an athletic team or competing on the debate and forensics team? Maybe performing in theater. So we want to get some just basic information for you, and that's going to really be helpful to your advisor as they work to develop a good rapport with you as their advisee. By June 20th, we're going to ask you to complete your first year seminar. You might remember all the way back to those two foundations, the writing proficiency and the first year seminar. Again, all incoming students who have not yet accumulated 58 credits, so all first year students and all sophomore transfers are going to have an opportunity to preference their first year seminar options. Again, you're preferencing the learning communities that exist for this coming fall, and there's a whole bunch of them. And you're going to select 4 of those that you are most interested in for the fall semester. This will come to you as a survey. It comes via your email. And again, I would encourage you to check those out, give a little time reading through them, and then making sure that you do get that completed no later than June 20th. Starting June 6th, my office will be offering a series of video advising sessions is probably a good way to think about it, but a series called Know Before You Go. These are absolutely optional. We will do them live every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, but they will be recorded and they will be available online in the advising webpage for new students. And this will give you all sorts of information about res life, advising, registration, off-campus studies, as well as there's 2 Know Before You Go sessions that are essentially academic open houses. So if you have specific questions that you want to ask of faculty or you want to have a better understanding of the course offerings in a particular department, I would really encourage you to seek out the Know Before You Go special advising sessions that are being marketed or promoted as academic open houses. And I will be inviting a variety of departments to each of those, and we will run them very much like a drop-in style, where you can hop from department to department and ask very specific questions as we go. So the lineup for the Know Before You Go series, you can see right here, we've got exciting lineup. I like to think of them as chats with some of my very dearest friends on campus. And again, those will kick off on June 6th. They run all the way through August 22nd, with 1 week off for the 4th of July. But otherwise, every Thursday, 4 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time. In July, for the whole month of July, this is the second half of that foundations, that two-part foundations. We talked about first year seminar. You're going to do your preferencing sometime in mid-June. And then all of July, the whole month of July, you have to think about a small little window of time that you can do the writing assessment. This is required for all students that are coming into Whitman, all first years and all new transfer students. We are looking to see whether or not you've actually already met the learning outcomes for the writing, rhetoric, writing, and public discourse 170 course. If you have, then it doesn't make sense for you to take it, and we will give you another opportunity to select a different course. Otherwise, you should plan on taking the writing assessment. We also have additional placement tests in language, chemistry, and calculus, and I'll talk a little bit about each of these. We have a language placement tests for students who are planning on continuing in a language that they started in high school or at a previous institution. So if you took Spanish throughout your entire high school time and you want to continue taking Spanish when you're in college, you will need to take the Spanish language placement test. If you took Spanish the entire time you were in high school, but now you want to switch and you want to take Japanese in college, you do not need to take the Japanese placement test. The expectation is you'll start in the first semester, first year of Japanese. Chemistry placement is required for all students who are interested in taking chemistry. Chemistry is a requirement for many departments outside of chemistry, so both chemistry and then several of our other STEM departments. So biology eventually has a chemistry requirement, as does geology. But in your first semester, if you're thinking, I really want to take general chemistry, you will need to take the general chemistry placement tests. We have 3 levels of chemistry, kind of a middle of the road, kind of a Goldilocks, right? Middle of the road, general chemistry, and advanced general chemistry, and then a general chemistry course with a helper course that's embedded in it. So we want to make sure that you're successful in chemistry, and so we kind of pitch it at a level to ensure that you're in the right level of chemistry with the appropriate amount of rigor as well as the appropriate amount of support. And then finally, if you intend to take any mathematics course, we do have a calculus placement test that will help you determine the correct course to start with. You're going to do your registration at the beginning of August. And so it would be really important to have any placement tests that you need to have done, language placement, chemistry placement, or calculus placement, done before you register. In fact, you will not be able to register for language courses or chemistry courses if you have not done the placement tests for either of those. Calculus is slightly different. It's a course that really helps you make a self-assessment about what the correct course is for you to start with. Language and chemistry courses are binding, meaning if you place into a certain level, the expectation is that is the level that you would enroll in. So I'm going to just show you what this looks like. So hopefully you can see right here. This is the writing assessment and placement test page. You can see up here at the top, whitman.edu/academics/placement-tests. You could also find it by using the search tool up here in the right-hand corner. Some information about the writing assessment. Again, you're going to end up taking that in July, and some information about how long it takes, when you should think about it. And then chemistry below, we have a couple tracks for the chemistry placement. And then the foreign languages as well. So information about the foreign languages. If you are planning on continuing in French, German, Japanese, or Spanish, you would take the foreign language test. If you're planning on continuing in Chinese or classics, those actually, there's not a test associated with it. You will actually be speaking with one of the faculty members in that particular area. And here's some contact information that goes with that. And then finally, as I mentioned, there is a calculus placement test. It is not binding. Please note that this is going to be the most accurate placement for you if you do not use a calculator. All of our calculus classes, lower level calculus classes, are non-calculator courses. So we'll want to make sure that you have you're setting yourself up for the most accurate assessment for you. So again, chemistry and foreign language tests need to be done before you register in that area. Calculus is a self-assessment, and then the writing assessment will happen in the month of July. We also will put a whole bunch of information on our new student advising page. There's not a lot to see there. This is one of the first things that's actually going to be there. But if you search for new student advising, you're going to see we will begin adding things into this space. And you can see the URL up at the top. You can also search here for new student advising. And that will be another way to make sure that you are getting the information you need in a timely manner. Any of the Know Before You Go series that I do will also be uploaded into this space to help you have information in an easy area to find, an area that you can come back to and watch the ones that are most important to you, or if you need some additional information. So we've talked about matriculation. So some of the matriculation tasks that I've just talked about, matriculation tasks involve things like setting up your account, which, thank you, so many of you have already done that. Sending in a photo for your picture ID, recording your name so we know how to pronounce it correctly, preferencing your first year seminar, taking your writing assessment, taking any additional placement tests you need to do. These are all types of matriculation tasks. So we need you to do those so that we can get you down the road to enrolling. So in your first couple years, the expectation is you're going to explore broadly. You might remember that middle general education area that I talked about is called exploration. So we have foundations, how we support you from the bottom, explorations, those 7 areas, and then connections, where you're able to connect via writing or through studying the past across a variety of disciplines. Whitman College is a liberal arts-based curriculum, which really means our plan is to broadly educate you in the natural sciences, in the social sciences, in the fine arts, in the humanities, and across these disciplines. So really, the way our curriculum is set up, it's designed for you to explore broadly for your first 2 years before you then delve deeply for your second 2 years. So at the end of your second year, at the end of your sophomore year, we're going to ask you to declare one of those 50 majors, at least one of those 50 majors. You can certainly declare earlier than that, but I would really caution you from declaring too early. Sometimes students come in with this idea that I'm going to be a computer science major, and they declare computer science in their first semester or even their second semester. And then as they're taking that general education requirements and they're broadly exposing themselves, they might bump up against something that is equally interesting or actually more interesting, and they might bump up against one of their passions that they didn't even know they had. So we're really going to encourage you to explore broadly, before you declare. And then once you declare, those last couple years, we're going to spend time with you delving deeply. Remember, most of our majors are going to average right around 36 credits. We have a few that are a little bit smaller than that, and we have a handful, particularly our combined majors, that are a little bit larger than that. So we want to make sure that you have enough underneath you to be making a really good informed decision about what you're going to be studying kind of in that diving deep way. You will need an advisor to do all of this. So you're going to have two advisor relationships. Your first one, and the one that will begin kind of when you arrive on campus, is your pre-major advisor. Over the summer, you'll have a summer advising registration assistant. For some students, that also might be your pre-major advisor in the fall. For others, that might change. But why do you need an advisor? If you've come from a high school where you've had a counselor or an advisor at the high school level, sometimes their role was really just to tell you, you're going to take this, 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 and this. It's a very different relationship when you get to college. And, as the name says, they are going to advise you. They are going to give you advice about what kinds of courses might be best suited for what you're interested in studying. What we know about academic advising is that the quality of academic advising is the single most powerful predictor of satisfaction with campus environments for students at four-year institutions. So what goes into that academic advising, both from you as the advisee and from your advisor, is so important to ensuring that your experience at Whitman is going to be top-notch, that you're going to be satisfied with it, that your experience is going to be exactly what you imagined it to be, and hopefully more. So we really put a lot of value into building a really strong relationship with your academic advisor. As I mentioned, you're going to have at least two advisors during your time at Whitman. So you're going to have a pre-major advisor. Again, that person will be connected to you in your during opening week. And then you will have a major advisor. When you declare your major, you will select someone from that particular discipline. So if you have an interest in film and media studies, for instance, or mathematics, you're going to pick someone from that discipline to advise you within the department. Up until then, you will either be working with your summer registration and advising assistant or your pre-major advisor. Again, those might be one and the same. They might be different. All incoming students, transfer students included, will meet with their summer advising and registration assistant about their academic plan for the coming semester, so for the fall semester and beyond. Most of these appointments will be scheduled during the month of July. Your advisor will reach out to you. They'll offer a variety of times to connect with you, and the majority of these will take place over Zoom. I would really encourage you, if you have the ability to Zoom in for these, to do it over Zoom versus via email or over the phone, in part because it might be important for them to show you what your academic eval looks like, or to share the course search with you as they help you get ready for registration, which happens in early August. So if you're worried, like, oh my gosh, everybody's registering for classes, I haven't registered, don't worry. No one in the incoming class, the class of 2028, or our new transfer students have registered. Those groups are going to register in early August. That said, you can start looking right now. So as long as you have activated your account, done some of those early matriculation tasks, you can begin working on your plan. And that is something that that is important in terms of being able to look in advance, start thinking about the kinds of courses you might be interested in. Without planning, it will be difficult, if not impossible, for you to enroll in courses, in part because of how our structure works. So please, please, please do not leave this until, the hour before you register. You're going to want to spend some time looking at what's going to be offered in the fall semester and starting to think about, wow, I'm excited about these courses, and start paying attention to how things might fit together for you. So in order to work on your plan, you're going to log in to my.whitman.edu. Let me just note, you cannot do this if you have not activated your account. So you will first need to activate your account in order to do this. Once you've activated your account, you'll be able to log in. You're going to select Student Tools. You're going to select My Progress, and you're going to identify courses that you're interested in and add them to your plan. So kind of looks like this, my.whitman.edu. I'm actually going to show you in real time what it looks like. So you're going to go over here to Student Tools. You're going to select My Progress. And this is actually my progress, which you will see I have made very little because I'm not actually a student at Whitman. Haven't done very well here. But it allows you to see kind of if you brought in any AP or IB credits, if you're a new transfer student, how those may have transferred in. Up here at the top, in the top left-hand corner, you'll see something that says academics, student planning, course catalog, grades, test summary. You can look. So for instance, if you take a placement test, you could see how you do. So you can see I've placed into Hispanic Studies level 2. I'm very proud of myself there. But this will show where your placement tests show up. Student planning, this is where we're going to spend the time getting you ready for the incoming semester. So this is showing kind of things that I have identified as being ones that I'm interested in for the fall semester. In terms of how you get to this page, if you go back up to academics, and you select course catalog, that's going to take you to this. This is the search. There's a couple ways to search. You can search by the catalog. This is essentially the entire curriculum. It's not specific to the fall semester. So there are courses that are going to be offered in the catalog listing that aren't going to be taught in the fall semester. It's important to be able to see what the whole curriculum looks like. So important to look for sure at the catalog listing. If you're wanting to kind of get a head start specifically for the fall, you'll want to use the section listing and you'll want to select the fall term. You will then select different areas. So if you have an interest in global literatures, if you have an interest in human-centered design, if you have an interest in brain behavior and cognition, you can add quite a few in this area. So if you are wanting to start Japanese, so as many departments as you want, I would really caution you from filtering too tightly. Keep this as wide open as you can as you think about your course search. So don't say, oh, I only want to take morning classes, or I only want to take evening classes. I only want to take classes on Monday and Tuesday. It will be too narrow for you to think about. So what I would strongly recommend is you only use the departmental search. You'll then click search, and this will open up all the offerings that met my filter. So you can see here are those areas that I identified. I'm also going to strongly recommend that you click open sections only. And the reason I'm going to encourage you to do that is because our seniors, juniors, and sophomores for this coming year have already registered. And if you don't click open sections, you might be a little bit frustrated to find some of the courses you're interested in. So if you were interested in a race, class, gender, and Japan, if that was a course you were interested in, you might be frustrated to see that it's closed. Trust me, you will at some point get all of the courses that you are interested in taking at Whitman. But for this first semester, you want to only be looking at open sections. You're not able to register for courses that are already closed. So based on my filter of global literatures, human-centered design, Japanese, here's what's available. You'll see this button over here on the left-hand side says add. So if I'm interested in China, youth and revolution, I could click the add button. It will open up a box that tells me a little bit more about the course. in terms of the course description, when it's offered, how many credits it's worth. And then if I'm interested in that, I can add that section. And you'll see I've got a couple that are planned. And you can do that for anything that you're interested in. That then will go back to my plan. You look at my plan, you'll now see that some of those other courses I added. So here's that global literature course that I just added. It's conflicting with this Art 116. Let's see, what is that? Beginning drawing comics. So I have a decision to make there. As it turns out, I believe comics might be closed, so I'll just take that one off my list. And now I have a good placeholder for global literature. You can see also Math 215 has a big red box around it. That is telling me that I have a conflict. Either I don't have the prereq, so in this case, I don't have Computer Science 167 or either of the math courses, so I'm unable to take this course. If you want to know what the prereqs are, they show up right at the top. They're also in part of the course description. So I could also remove that from my bid. So this gives you an opportunity, a way to kind of put together what it is that you're planning. So this is particularly looking at the fall semester. If I look at my timeline screen, that's going to allow me to look across time at all of the semesters I'm planning on being at Whitman. This is a great way to think about kind of forward planning into, the spring or into your sophomore year. So for instance, if I really want to take beginning drawing in comics, but it's closed, I could move it to a different semester. So any of the courses that have this little waffle pattern in front of it, or tic-tac-toe pattern, are movable. Any courses that do not, so that China Youth and Revolution, you can see it doesn't have the waffle. If I try to move it, it's going to send me a little error message. So this is another way for you to keep organized around the types of courses that you're interested in. So you're going to spend the majority of your time looking at your progress and at your plan. I'm going to go back to my progress. I don't think we're going to be able to see very much here, mostly because I am not a student at Whitman. But if I were to, let's say, be a student at Whitman who was interested in mathematics, I could select that program and it's going to pull up all of the requirements. So again, as you can see, I haven't done a lot of work here at Whitman. And that's going to include the first year seminar, the writing proficiency, all of the distribution requirements. And then at the bottom, it's going to start pulling up the math specific requirements. So if I was planning on being a math major, this gives me a sense of where I might want to start. The nice thing about your progress is it has a search tool. So if I am super interested in the mathematics major and I want to get maybe a course headed in that direction, I can add it to my course plan from here as well. Again, I would select a term, add it to my plan, and then I can go back and look at that plan using this tool. So that mathematics, where did that go? Everything's alphabetical. I need to look at the specific sections. Sections are specific to a semester. This one in particular, this calculus course happens to be full. So, or it has a wait list. So at this point, that's not a course I'm able to take. I'm going to exit off of my schedule. It remains over here on this left-hand side as a course that I continue to be interested in. So a couple ways to kind of navigate this. I would really encourage you to get in here and start playing around. It's a tool that is going to maybe take a little bit for you to learn how to use, and you'll want to be starting that earlier than later. Again, the only way you're going to be able to access this, my.whitman.edu, is to have activated your account, which means you have a username and a password. It is the same one that you will use to check your email, to do all sorts of other things. I should mention there's some other things you can do in the student tools, so you can get your official transcripts here. You can look at your grades. If you have a scholarship that requires enrollment verification, this is where you can get your enrollment verification. If you're working on campus, you can see your timesheet. If you want to know what your statement account is or your balance is, you can use this. So this is a place where lots of students are going to spend a lot of time. You should be in this pretty daily. Also, the link index is super helpful if you have academic concerns or you need to look at the academic calendar. This is a really helpful way to jump quickly in between different areas. So for instance, course catalog, residential life, here's that course search. So my.whitman.edu will be your very, very good friend while you're here at Whitman. So again, this is where you're going to do your planning. You'll see the one tab that I didn't talk about was the advising tab. This is a place where you can actually go in and write a note to your advisor and have them take a peek at something. So if you've gone in and played and put all sorts of information in, you can send a note and say, hey, Professor Jones, I've added some courses that I'm interested in taking in the fall. Can you take a look and let me know? So if after your Zoom call, you want to get in touch with your advisor, this automatically flags them so that they can pop in, take a look very specifically at your timeline or any other tool. It also keeps kind of a running log of those interactions with your advisor. So as you transfer from being a pre-major advisor to a major advisor, your major advisor will be able to go back in and look at questions that might have popped up in your past and be able to help kind of navigate that or help you put together that in terms of your whole picture. You can request a review. That's how you're going to send them a note to take a peek. Okay, so I know a big question for a lot of you is, wait, how do we register for classes? I'm ready to go. And I love that enthusiasm. I love that excitement. We are thrilled that you are engaging in that way. We're going to get some advising under your belt first. We're going to let you play around in the course registration system first, and then you will begin doing that registration. When you go to register, you're going to need to have things on this right-hand side. And I'm going to pop back to my plan so that you can see very clearly. So here are some courses that I have identified as ones I want to take for the fall semester. And you'll see there's both a register button underneath. So underneath intermediate Japanese over here on the left-hand side, there's a register button. And then there's a big register button over here on the right-hand side in the top corner. I'm going to encourage you to use the one in the top right. That's going to register everything you have on this calendar screen. The individual registration you might want to use if something's full or you're trying to just manipulate individual courses around there. Initially, you're going to have an opportunity to register for 2 courses. In addition to your general studies course. So again, remember, you're going to preference a first-year seminar course. That will automatically be on your schedule. So you can see on my schedule, I've got General Studies 175M. That will automatically be on your schedule before you register. And so then you're going to look for 2 additional courses. We're then going to add, for those students that need to take rhetoric, writing, and public discourse, we will add that as your 4th course. For students that do not need to take that because you've already met the learning outcomes, you'll have an opportunity to add a 4th course when you arrive to campus in the fall. So in late August, you'll be meeting with your pre-major advisor and you'll have an opportunity to add a course at that time. So again, a couple ways to register. This is that individual course by course registration. And this one up in the top corner is everything in the calendar to register. So a couple different ways to do it. So what else are we expecting of you this summer? So that kind of gives you the grounding for our academics, as well as kind of the game plan for advising and registration. We are expecting you to register for, in addition to all those matriculation tasks I have already discussed, we are expecting you to register for your fall classes on either August 1st, if you are a new transfer student, or Friday, August 9th, if you're an incoming first year student. So those are our two registration dates. You'll have an assigned time on those days. You're not going to be able to register before your assigned time, but you will definitely want to have a very good plan already built out. So remember this plan, you're going to want to have stuff on the calendar side so that at your assigned time, you can just click the register now button and you'll be all set to go. You will be moving into your residence hall if you're living on campus on Wednesday, August 28th. If the majority of you will be moving in on this date. If you are a fall sport athlete or a new incoming international student, you'll arrive to campus a little bit earlier, but you won't be in your permanent housing until August 28th. So on August 28th, everybody moves into their specific hall and floor. Our move-in times are specific based on where you're living. It's typically a little bit warm in August here in Walla Walla. So we typically have the students that are living on the 3rd and 4th floors move in first when it's a little bit cooler and they've got to navigate stairs and elevators and all of that. And then we have the lower floors move in second. So we have a staggered move in. There's plenty of other things for you to do on campus on move-in day set to make sure that you're all ready to go. So we will encourage you to be on the lookout for all that information. Your housing assignment and roommate will be shared with you in the early part of August. So don't worry, nobody has a housing assignment yet. You need to have done your lifestyle survey, which is in your admissions portal, and the greater majority of you have already done that. So thank you. That's a very important matriculation task, and we are thrilled to see that like 80%, 90% of you have already done that. So thank you for getting that done. Just a handful of you still need to get that done. We hand match students with their roommates. We also hand match them with their advisors, but for this particular bit, you're going to be matched with your roommate to a particular residence hall. And that again is released in the very early part of August, typically right around August 1st. I think it's hopefully very obvious that part of a great college education really depends upon your human interactions and human relations. Whitman is a place that really prides itself on being student-centered, that our focus is you and your experience here at Whitman, and recognizing that each of you are going to navigate your way through Whitman on a different path, and that you have staff and faculty surrounding you, peers surrounding you to help you do that in the best possible way for you. We're going to start that process very early during opening week. Opening week is a requirement of all new students, both first-year students and new transfer students. Opening week starts on move-in day on August 28th and runs through September 2nd. And our expectation is that you will fully participate. And that is our way. It's 6 days, helps us really make sure that not only do you have the academic foundations and you're making the academic connections, but you're also having building those foundations across your social network, building those foundations in your residence hall, building those foundations within and those connections within your opening week small group or opening week extended activity. So we've got a lot of great things planned for you. We've hired 52 returning students to work as opening week leaders. They are thrilled to be welcoming you to Whitman and really help you get your legs underneath you so that you're ready to go and connected to one another, connected to our campus. You know how to get yourself around campus. You know how to use the technology. And so that's an important part of the matriculation process here at Whitman is our opening week activities. So I'm going to wrap up my time with you. I do really want to encourage you to reach out anytime. I am available via phone. You're welcome to text me on my cell phone, send me an email. If you're in town or close to Walla Walla, feel free to drop by. I spend most of my time in the Reed Campus Center, but I really am available to really help you with this exciting moment. But I also recognize can be a moment that can be a little nerve-wracking or anxiety laden. That's okay. I would maybe be surprised if you weren't a teeny bit anxious about what comes next. This is my 31st year at the college. I've done this a couple times, and happy to help you make this transition to Whitman. We again, on behalf of the college, are absolutely thrilled that you have decided that Whitman is the next place for the next chapter of your academics, and are on call to help you at any point get ready to make this jump. So once again, appreciate everybody, and can't wait to see you when you come in the fall. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the fall. Thank you.